Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Vishal Dahiya and you're watching 2021's first episode of Big Picture. Now, today we're going to talk about technology and urban transformation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday virtually laid the foundation stone of lighthouse projects, that is LHP, under Global Housing Technology Challenge India at 6 cities across 6 states. We're going to take a look as to what exactly is this technology and urban transformation, and specifically what role does technology has to play in this urban landscape. And for this, we joined by a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Sudhir. Krishna is with us. Is the former Secretary, Urban Development in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. We also have with us Professor K.T. Ravindran, a well-known urban planner. And we also have with us Subimal Bhattacharjee, the technology expert with us. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Rajya Sabha Television. And before we begin, a very happy new year to all of you from all my colleagues at Rajya Sabha Television as well. Let me begin with you, Mr. Krishna, first, and let's try and understand the significance of the technology in urban transformation, the role technology is all set to play in the urban landscape.
Well, India's urbanization is yet to reach its full potential. We were something like 28% in 2001, and it became 31% in 2011. And so it's only 3 percentage point growth, though in, of course, absolute number it is significant, all right. But yet, considering the fact that global urbanization levels are over 50% on the average, and most developed countries are in the range of 80 to 90%, if not even more, it is very expected that India's urbanization will grow by leaps and bounds in the years to come. And some more statistics will come in 2021 census results shortly. But I would say that we have to be prepared for accepting more and more people in the cities. And it is not just a kind of automatic situation. It is a need of our, because urban areas create wealth, and where wealth is there, it becomes urbanized. It works both ways. If you set up a major industrial, commercial or industrial hub, then area surrounding it gets the shape of an urban area. And so it is high density of population and dependence on non-agricultural activities that defines urbanization. So more and more areas, people will be migrating from rural areas to cities, and those cities have to be equipped. Cities today are marred by situations like slums. A good population of India, close to 20%, lives in slums, and some cities like Mumbai and others have much higher population percentage of urban population living in slums. And so this is one challenge, is say housing is a big challenge, planned housing. And then there are other challenges like physical and mental stress, which city population, people suffer. And then the issue of pollution issues, environmental issues are bigger challenge in urban areas than rural areas. Then also the issue of safety, the issue of dependence on externalities. Urban population depends a lot on others for supply of power, water, commutation. Everything is a dependence. So cities, city dwellers require the whole system to work highly efficiently and in an automated manner. Now, time is a big challenge. Everywhere people are finding, the biggest scarcity today is of time. Whether it is a student or whether it is even housewives also have challenge of time, not to talk of people who are traveling for professional activities. So the cities have to be prepared to provide a safe and comfortable living to the people, to its residents, and where they can enjoy a healthy life. And and they have got the capacity to pay. Urban area people have got better capacity to pay than rural area. So better services, more automated services where you don't depend on manual operation of things. You don't depend on physically reaching the place. The sitting in home, can you get access to many services at home only or through your mobile app? And above all, this COVID pandemic lockdown has brought out a new dynamics, a new dimension to the urbanization. That is work at home. And so the whole lot of things, the whole designing of houses where people will be working from home, there are issues, and their economic activities are changing the framework in which the urban population was earlier dependent a lot on a certain type of activity and people were traveling to work, and now many are not traveling to work. So all that requires a new thought process where you have to have dependence on automation. Automation should drive things, construction activities and so on. Whether today, so by the way we are urbanizing, it leads to a lot of environmental issues like construction waste, and like you mismanage the drainage system. There is a water loss. So all those things, if we have to resolve, then we have to take the shelter of or take the support of technology, and that is the way forward. I would say this is a critical time for us to assess how technology can help us to reach our objectives of planned urbanization and good governance and safer abode in the cities.
Okay, definitely. Technology is all set to play a very significant role, as you're pointing out there. That brings me to Professor Ravindran here. Professor Ravindran, new techniques as far as construction is concerned are being talked about. The Prime Minister himself referred to some in Friday's event when he spoke about prefabricated sandwich panel system, then monolithic concrete construction technology, even 3D technology as well. So how significant, in terms of reaching the goals is obviously one part. Second is how easy or difficult it is to make use of these technologies.
Well, cities are in fact products of technology. Now, whether it is the current digital technologies or it was other kinds of technologies, it is always technology which distinguished the production of the city in a certain way. So right now, if you look at it, it's not only in the field of actual production of buildings, but in planning itself, there's been very big technological revolutions happening. Now, the major changes which have come in understanding land, which is a basic resource for any city, that technology is now currently highly advanced. It is possible for us to analyze information available on the net. In many cases, it's possible for us to analyze the nature of the land and plan according to that requirement. So that the kind of nightmare that you find today in terms of flooding and overflowing drains, etc., can be in fact dealt with by application of technology right from the beginning when we start with the land. That is the pre-construction technologies, which are highly advanced now, and it has the potential to generate a far more efficient city. That's at one level.
Okay.
The other level is at the production level of the buildings themselves, the design of the buildings. There is massive steps which have now come forward in digital technologies in design of buildings. Then there is massive technological improvement that's made in the management of built form and the functioning of the city. Yeah? There is also great difference that has come about in the governance of cities. So at various levels, there is advancement in technology which is impacting development of the city or production of the city in many different ways. Okay. So it's a question of harnessing these to ensure that we have better cities in the future.
Okay. Definitely, harnessing of technology is going to be the focus area. That brings me to Subimal Bhattacharjee. Subimal, from your point of view, this sort of amalgamation of technology and urban transformation, or if you look at the much larger role being played by technology in the urban landscape, how do you look at all the aspects there and the way it looks like it is going to further move ahead?
Thank you, Vishalji. At the outset, let me wish you, the two distinguished panelists, and all your viewers a Happy New Year. As brought out by both the distinguished panelists, I think technology comes in many areas, right from, as Mr. Ravindran mentioned, from land, right up to now the Internet of Things and all the data management processes that are used to optimize the service delivery. So technology is something that is going to further enhance the optimality of how do you construct, how do you build, how do you manage, and how do you look at the future? Because as you see, we are having always a migration from the rural to the urban areas. I think currently we are expecting at about 40% of our population to be in the urban areas by 2030. Most of our urban areas don't present the best of the, I would say, features. The roads seem to be congested, parking seem to be always in places where they should not be. So many things are there which need to be far much more efficiently managed, and that's where technology comes in. Now, leaving aside the construction and building technologies that I am really not very familiar with, but what I can say is that the prefab and related block constructions are today far much more structurally good, efficient, energy efficient. So all of that. But if you look at the futuristic position and where we are hitting the curve, we got ahead in this country with the smart cities from 2015 as the government proceeded with the 100 smart cities. And if you look at the technology that is coming, where all of us are trying to get into, the Internet of Things. Now, much of our devices, much of our management of the devices, as well as the security and related aspects, is now moving towards technology. So, from a remote technology, you would want to use the IP version 4 to the IP version 6 to be able to manage a lot of your functions.
Okay.
Then, and these are not only linked only to your house, but these are many of the other things that municipal functions remain. That's also now today guided by technology. How do you efficiently pick up the municipal waste? How do you use them towards creating far much more environmentally efficient byproducts? So where we are using technology, and most important, Vishal, as we go forward, data that is coming from each of these points where we are using technology, or each of the management aspect, the data that is being collected, we are going to use them for better efficiency and management in the future. So we are going to utilize artificial intelligence and related technologies also to see how do we improve on what we are giving. So all of that, I think, is something that is under focus. I think we need to implement them according to a plan so that the cities remain livable and inviting, not only for people searching here for jobs, but also who want to really settle down in the cities and not try and look for other countries or whatever.
Okay, definitely. So as you're pointing out, and Professor Ravindran also said that it's not only about the construction phase where the technology or technological advancements are all set to play a very important role, but in a pre-construction phase as well, and the post-construction also, to ensure that ease of living for the people who now get to live in those buildings or in those houses there. That brings me to another question here about quality of housing infrastructure. Mr. Krishna, the Prime Minister himself also pointed out that the governments were not so much concerned about the quality of housing infrastructure so far, but now that few steps have been taken in terms of not only policy but also projects there, like the one which has been recently launched, the quality of housing infrastructure is something which is really, really important, and not only in the urban landscapes, but overall as well, Mr. Krishna.
Well, the efforts made towards improving the quality have to be at various levels. At first, we should have standards. So the National Building Code has recently been updated and revised. And so we have got updated standards for building construction and parameters for any construction for a board or for commercial purposes and so on. So the safety and durability and so on have been factored in the National Building Code standards. So that is one benchmark which is available for all of us to adopt. So that is one part. The second thing is that the modern technologies, which are like the 3D technology for designing in architecture. To begin with, preparing a city plan, we can use technology, and we must light imagery for which areas are good for habitation and which are better to be left for storing water or kept green. We have to use satellite imagery, and that will help us in a big way. Then in construction design also, building design, the layout design, this 3D technology, that is going to be a big help, and so on. But having said all that, we require a lot of effort in training, training the skill in skill development of manpower, because modern technologies are there, all right. The technology will help in urbanization, help in construction, but the help will really be harnessed only if people are given proper training and their skills are improved. So I think the National Skills Mission is there, and that has to participate, that has to join with the efforts of Housing Ministry and housing programs to improve the skill of people who are involved in designing the buildings and in construction of the buildings and also in the maintenance of building. You see, there are challenges, like I'll tell you now, that in urbanization we are seeing the phenomenon of high-rise buildings. Urbanization without high-rise is impossible to think for the coming years. It was not so before. Before it was now, but it is so now. Now in urbanization, I have a small challenge I am mentioning to you, that water metering. You have apartments, and each apartment you get water supply from different pipelines. In one corner, one pipe goes from top to bottom, and all four corners. And therefore, there is no apartment which has got a meter for water supply. Now, how to do that? It is not possible, because now this technology can only help. Now, and this leads to water wastage also, because people are paying, those who are living in apartments, they are paying for water based on the square feet of their house, apartment, not based on how much water they consume. So therefore, there is no incentive to conserve on water. Just like in power, it is so. In power, you have got a single metering point, but in water, it is not so in apartments. It is only the technology which can help us to integrate the different inlet points into an apartment. That was an example I gave to you. And similarly, safety, security also. In multi-story buildings you are living. We were talking about construction, so let me focus on construction side only. So similarly, maintenance issues also. How the buildings can be, made safer for maintenance, and maintenance issues can be tackled, online. You can identify through the technology where are leakages in pipeline, where are the leakages in gas supply line. So it is going to be like, without technology, we cannot think of urbanization in the years to come.
Okay. Those are very, very significant points there, Professor Ravindran. Your views on these aspects of ensuring good quality of housing infrastructure.
I think one of the most important points which Dr. Sudhir Krishna has just brought out is about creating skilled manpower. If you look at our current mess in cities, why are they in such a mess? Even in known simple technologies in transportation, we have access to all those technologies right now. But what is our performance level? We have only created mess after mess. So I'm just using the transportation sector as an example of, actually it is the failure of manpower. It's not the absence of technology. It is a failure of manpower which has actually created the condition. So if we think that we simply transferring the current technologies to digital technologies, we will solve all the problems, that's not going to happen. But the problem is with the human interface of technology and production of cities. So it is that human interface which we need to also concentrate on parallelly.
Okay.
For instance, if our heritage cities are in the kind of conditions they are in, there are very many technologies available now to improve heritage. If you look at our smart cities, and even if they have had fits and starts in its beginning, even if it takes off, finally will it touch the real quality of life of the entire city? It's not going to touch so, because the local capacity to deal with that technology does not exist. So if we don't train our manpower, the best technology that is being introduced will also can be misused
Okay.
or can be used in such a way that it will become a white elephant. It will become increasing tax burden on the city without providing the results that we need.
Okay.
So it is very, very critical to ensure that we don't put everything on the hook of technology, but we also look at how manpower needs to be improved to create a more efficient, the right kind of interface between technology, manpower, and city.
Okay, definitely. Training manpower, skilling the people to handle that technology is equally and really important there. Let's have the concluding comments from Subimal here. Subimal?
Yeah, I think, skilling and manpower are very, very important. And today, much of that, again, has been possible or rather improved with the usage of, digital technologies. So I think, this is something that obviously remains the focus. We need proper implementation, Vishal, of many of the schemes that come in place. The Prime Minister's announcements, the Lighthouse project, the Nivriti or the Asha India, these are really good projects that can take off in many of the cities at different tiers. How will we implement them? How later the citizens take them, how the municipalities handle them. These are very, very, I think management of our city infrastructures or urban infrastructure is very, very important, to make them welcoming. Obviously, digital technologies are going to come. Drones and, sensor-based technologies are going to get very, very prominent now. Data management is going to get prominent. So I think this is a time to look realistically at all the aspects and see how we synchronize all of them together to give a quality urban, experience to the dwellers. And of course, the migration will continue to the cities till the time we are able to also offset a lot of employment opportunities even around the rural areas. So urban planning is important. Usage of technology is important, but most important is how the citizens as well as the planners and the government all equally work together to take advantage of these technologies.
Okay, definitely working together, everybody putting their best foot forward is the best possible scenario here. Thank you so much, Mr. Subimal Bhattacharjee, Professor K.T. Ravindran, and Dr. Sudhir Krishna as well for sharing your views with us and our viewers on this very important aspect, as our panelists were pointing out, how technology is all set to go ahead and play a very important and significant role in ensuring good quality of housing infrastructure in the days, months, and years to come, and the challenges therein, as well as the ways those challenges can be tackled. Before we go, I'd like to once again wish all our viewers, on behalf of all my colleagues at Rajya Sabha Television, a very happy New Year. Stay safe, take care, follow all COVID safety protocols, and keep watching Rajya Sabha Television. Thank you.